Yes, they met. Yes, that was against William's wishes, but there was no sense that I'm getting that Charles laid out the red carpet for.
Imagine flying across the Atlantic, expecting warmth, reconciliation, maybe even a little royal magic, and instead walking out with nothing more than a half-cold cup of tea. That's exactly what just happened to Prince Harry, and people cannot stop talking about it.
Two images from Meghan's mole side by side show why Harry looked so miserable on leaving Clarence's house.
The internet is eating this up. Why? Because this wasn't just any reunion. This was Harry's first proper sit-down with King Charles in over a year. A year of icy silence, side-eye headlines, and endless speculation. And when they finally met...
But ever since he hooked up with Meghan, he has spectacularly lost his popularity. He seems to be obsessed with getting it back.
It lasted just 55 minutes. Yes, less than the length of one episode of The Crown.
This meeting actually went for a much shorter period than what the rest of the mainstream media is reporting.
And now people online are joking it wasn't a royal summit at all. More like a speed date gone horribly wrong.
Harry, who ended up apologizing to the king, not the other way round.
Social media hasn't been kind. Memes everywhere. Brutal captions flying around. Harry came for the crown but left with crumbs. Ouch!
I'll tell you the real reason. It's all a PR stunt.
And here's the kicker. Reports claim the actual private chat was less than 20 minutes.
The feud between William and Harry is as bitter as...
By the time biscuits were on the table, the whole conversation was practically over. The royal tea wasn't even finished steeping before Harry was already on his way out.
William at one point within 7 miles of his brother, so near and yet so far, refusing to see.
But that's not the headline. The real scandal? Harry allegedly stormed out empty-handed after asking for support, titles, and security. He walked straight into what looks like another PR disaster. So now the world is asking, did Charles finally slam the door shut on reconciliation, or did Harry blunder into a royal trap? Because those 55 minutes may go down as one of the most telling chapters in this family feud. The palace spun it as a private tea. But come on, this was no cozy father-son catch-up. Insiders are whispering Clarence's house looked less like a family home and more like a spy thriller set. Security flooding the gates, cameras blocked, staff silent and stiff as if they were bracing for an explosion. And again, let's not forget, the entire meeting was just 55 minutes, less than a Netflix drama episode. And at least The Crown gives us a cliffhanger. According to reports, Charles and Harry had barely 20 minutes alone. The rest? Protocols, security checks, awkward silences. Of course, the internet roasted it. Less a royal summit, more like waiting at the DMV, only with fancier wallpaper, joked one viral post. And then came the twist. Queen Camilla joined in. For Harry, who has publicly bristled about her role in the past, this was like walking into a meeting and finding your least favorite manager suddenly chairing the room. People couldn't help pointing out the irony. Harry may have expected a tender father-son talk. Instead, he got the royal tag team edition. And what made it even sketchier? The silence afterward. No palace statement, no cheery exit photo, nothing. Commentators said it felt more like a transaction cut short than a reunion. And here's where things took a wild turn. Forget tea and biscuits. Harry apparently came armed with an agenda thicker than a royal history book. Reports say he wasn't there for casual Earl Grey, he was there to negotiate. And what he asked for? People were floored. Then came the bombshell topic, titles for the kids. Oh yes, Harry reportedly pushed for Archie and Lilibet's royal recognition. And just like that, the internet exploded. Some defended him. He's just protecting his family. Others dragged him. It's not about the kids, it's about clout. And it didn't stop there. Tucked into his list? Security support, coverage for his mounting legal costs. If the rumors are true, it wasn't just a tea, it was a full-on shopping spree of royal favors. Commentators said the vibe was far from humble, more like showing up at a family dinner and demanding Wi-Fi, cash, and the car keys before dessert. Public reaction? Savage. One viral post compared Harry's demands to writing Santa a wish list for every toy in the catalog, and then acting shocked when the sleigh came back empty. And King Charles? His response was nothing short of icy. Reports claim he kept calm, polite, but utterly unyielding, the kind of silence that could freeze Buckingham Palace fountains. Observers said his demeanor wasn't angry, it was worse. It was like a teacher catching you cheating and not even raising their voice. Just cold disapproval. Insiders say Charles leaned heavily on protocol, not paternal warmth. Translation? Harry didn't even get the dignity of a debate, just policy, pure monarchy mode. The presence of Camilla reportedly sealed it shut. Charles wasn't dad in a sitting room, he was CEO at the head of the boardroom table. And the public had a field day with that. Memes painted Charles as a granite wall while Harry looked like a kid tossing tennis balls at it, praying for cracks. Brutal. But Harry wasn't finished. The meeting wrapped up and the exit became a headline of its own. Witnesses say he stormed out of Clarence's house with a pace that screamed, "Done! Over!" Nothing to see here, no smiles, no waves, no father-son warmth, just a quick, stiff walk that felt more like a fire drill than a farewell. Social media roasted it mercilessly. Memes compared it to leaving a group project where you did all the work and still got no credit. Others pointed out the timing. Less than an hour in total, barely 20 minutes of private talk, and Harry walking away without so much as a doggy bag of leftovers. The internet crowned it. The shortest comeback tour in royal history. The optics told the story. Cameras later caught Charles looking regal, composed, every inch the monarch. Harry, meanwhile, was snapped looking tense, eyes flashing frustration. Commentators summed it up. One looked like a king. The other looked like he just lost a fight at a family barbecue. And if you think the drama stopped there, oh no, the fallout was brutal. Harry may have thought the meeting was a step toward reconciliation, but once he left empty-handed, the media spin machine kicked in hard. Headlines softened the story, calling it a reunion. Some outlets even suggested it was a step forward, but the public, they weren't buying it. Viral posts shredded the coverage. If that was reconciliation, one person joked, then my last awkward Zoom call was a peace treaty. Another said Harry's 55-minute tea sounded more like a dentist appointment, except at least at the dentist, you leave with a free toothbrush. And then came the harshest interpretation. Clarence House pulled off a magician's trick. Poof! The meeting happened, but no one knows what came out of it. For Charles, silence was strategy. He didn't need a press statement. The images, the exit, the optics. They did all the talking. Critics called it genius PR. Harry looked isolated, cornered, and Charles looked steady, regal, and in complete control. For once, the palace's best move was to say absolutely nothing. But this wasn't just about Harry. Oh no. The backlash spilled straight onto Meghan and their brand. Industry insiders whispered, without access to the royal family, the Sussex content empire risks going stale. Netflix, Spotify, they thrive on access, on drama, on inside stories. And with Harry walking away empty-handed, critics said it bluntly, no palace, no plot. The internet didn't hold back either. One viral quip compared their content deals to Survivor, but without drama. It's like watching Survivor, the post read, but everyone just politely shares coconuts. Ouch. And here's the dangerous part. Without royal sparkle, Meghan faces the pressure to create the next headline herself. That could mean interviews, carefully placed leaks, or some brand new drama just to stay in the spotlight. Commentators warn this isn't just about family, it's about business. Every denied request, every frosty meeting chips away at the Sussex brand's ability to sell themselves as insiders. The shine is fading and people are restless. And the harshest truth? The optics weren't about Harry versus Charles. They were about power versus desperation. Harry's demands, Charles's icy silence, the cold exit, it all rolled into one brutal story. But the impact? It stretched far beyond Clarence House. Commentators say Harry wasn't just negotiating with his father, he was clashing with the monarchy itself, and that's a battle no single prince ever wins. People online compared the meeting to a chess match. Harry moved fast, throwing out demands like a desperate player rushing pawns across the board. But Charles? He barely moved, calm as a grandmaster, shutting down options with nothing more than silence and a stone face. A viral post summed it up perfectly. You can't out-drama an institution that's been perfecting drama for centuries. And that's the point. The monarchy has survived wars, abdications, divorces, and scandals bigger than this. One awkward tea was never going to crack it open. But for Harry, the optics were brutal. Without royal backing, every step he takes risks looking like a scramble for relevance. Public conversations turned savage. Commentators branded Harry as hapless, a man chasing validation he can't win back. Some sympathized, seeing him as the underdog, fighting a system stacked against him. But the louder voices mocked him as the royal who left and couldn't claw his way back in. And then came the twist. This wasn't just about tea, biscuits, or family reconciliation. It was about legacy. Royal experts say moments like this don't just make headlines for a week. They stick. Decades from now, when documentaries and Netflix specials dissect the Windsor saga, they won't remember what was served with the tea. They'll remember the image of Harry leaving empty-handed while Charles stood firm. One viral line nailed it. History won't remember the 55 minutes. It'll remember the empty exit for Charles. This folds neatly into the image he's cultivating. Steady, unshaken, a monarch prioritizing crown over drama. For Harry, critics warn it risks cementing him as the outsider who gambled everything and came back with nothing. And that sting, it cuts deeper than any tabloid headline. Because when you zoom out, this wasn't about a father and son. It was about an institution reminding the world who calls the shots. Charles didn't need fiery words. His silence, his refusal to bend, said it all. The monarchy doesn't negotiate under pressure. Meanwhile, the public can't forget Harry's contradictions. He's shouted about security, called himself unsafe, and yet bragged in his book about Taliban kills. He flies into war zones for photo ops, but then demands British taxpayers foot the bill for his protection. Commentators sneered that it isn't really about safety. It's about a victim complex. complex, and this meeting only fueled that narrative. So when Harry walked into Clarence's house with hope and a wish list, he might have thought he could secure reconciliation, support, and stability. Instead, he walked out with nothing. No promises, no progress, not even a polished palace statement to soften the blow. Just silence. Charles carried on with business as usual, while Harry was left facing headlines that painted him as cornered, frustrated, and isolated. One side looked like a monarch. The other looked like a man still searching for a role. And that's why everyone is now asking, is Harry still fighting for family or fighting a losing battle? But wait, this story doesn't end with Clarence's house, because Meghan's name is back in the spotlight. And her father's recent words? They're adding fuel to a fire that could engulf the entire Sussex brand. The world is watching, the monarchy isn't budging. And Harry and Meghan, they're stuck in the middle of a storm they might not be able to control. So here's the cliffhanger. Is this the tragic finale of Harry's royal saga, or just the setup for the next explosive chapter?